Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about how to train like an athlete and build muscle.
Yeah, I think, a lot of times when people think of people that build muscle, they think of people that just stiffen up and they aren't functional. And as we build muscle, we don't only want to look like we lift weights, we want to actually be strong and move well. And everything that we're going to talk about in today's podcast is going to cover how you can accomplish that goal from the programming side of things, from the mobility side of things, to the plyometric movements that you should be doing. We're going to cover everything that you need to know on how to stay athletic and build muscle at the same time. So before we do hop into the podcast, if you guys do have questions, just let us know in the comment section. We'd love to help you out any way that we can. We are gym owners, personal trainers. We have clients that we train online, and we'd love to help you out any way that we can. Just let us know in the comment section.
Yeah, so kind of like what you were saying in the beginning, just that there's this idea that strength training is like these people that are just like huge and ripped and don't move well. We've kind of like taken the idea of blending these different types of training styles. And so athletic training, strength training, like bodybuilding style, you know, hybrid training, whatever you want to call it. We are just taking this and narrowing it down into what we think is the best version of getting fit, getting healthy, and maintaining muscle mass while also maintaining your endurance.
Yeah, the base of any program should be health. That's what we are very big proponents of, is no matter what your goal is, you shouldn't be doing things that are going to sacrifice your health. But even on top of that, talking about the strength training thing, that's where we can kind of dive in first, is building muscle. You have to strength train and you have to set things up specifically in your program. I think a lot of people just go to the gym and they just go through the motions and they're doing the same workouts that they've been doing for months and months and months or years and years. And they're asking themselves, like, why am I not seeing progress? So the strength training is the first thing that I want to talk about on how to get stronger, how to build muscle, because in this program, we do believe that you can not only look good, but you can also move well, be functional. And it all starts with the strength training, the overload aspect of strength training, where you have to get stronger over the course of time. And that all starts with the way that you structure your workouts, the way that we'll always structure our clients' workouts, either in person or online, is at the beginning of the workout when we are most fresh. That's where we're going to overload. We're going to pick big compound movements, your back squats, your deadlifts, your hip thrusts, your lunges, Bulgarian split squats for the lower body, pull-ups, bench press, overhead press, heavy rows, dips, those big compound movements for the upper body, where we're going to pick a couple of them and we're going to try to get stronger over the course of time. It might only be a rep a week or it might only be 5 pounds a month. But if you continuously come and do that, that is the number one thing that you need to do to build muscle and improve your body composition. Even if you're training like an athlete, even if you're training to be a bodybuilder, even if you're training to be a powerlifter, you have to get stronger. No matter what your goal is, it is the first thing that you have to take a look at your program and structure it in a specific way if you're going to get any sort of progress.
Yeah, don't be afraid of those heavy, bigger weights, and don't be afraid to fail, because it's okay if you fail and you don't hit that 10 rep that you were trying to hit each week. As long as you're continuously trying to get stronger, that is the main goal. But with all that being said, also with strength training, we also want to make sure we are programming our muscles properly. We're not going in and hitting legs and biceps. Like, the program has to make sense. Now, while this might be something that some of you do, we personally like to plan it so it makes sense. We're doing like a push-pull movement or all lower body. We need to balance out our muscle groups as well. So we're not going to hit 4 days of legs and then one upper body day, or, all upper body, mostly biceps and triceps, and then one lower body day. It's got to be a good solid balance where we're getting enough of every muscle group.
Yeah, I think, it all comes down to your personal goal, whether that is, it can look so different for everybody that we train, all the people that we train, it's like each person has a different goal. But if your goal is to build muscle and stay athletic, you're right. It has to have some structure. It's not just going to happen by default. Like, you have to come in and have some structure with your workouts. There has to be a game plan. And if you're just Winging it, that's not going to be the fast track to progress. If you are somebody and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I would love more structure in my program, we do offer online training. So we have a gym in Nebraska, but if you are not local and you're looking for more structure, we'd love to set up a time to chat more. There's a link down in the comments in the description below. You can click on that link, fill out that form, fill out some information, and we can set up a time to chat more and talk about your goals and tell you how we can help you create that structure and just take all the guesswork out. Because again, I think so many people are going to the gym and they're just winging it. They're just going through random exercises and not really thinking about what is my clear goal and how do I get there. It's just like, I'm going to go work out. It's not, I'm going to go work out and do this specific workout because it's going to get me to this point that I want to reach. And that's what we're all about, is creating that structure. With another aspect of being athletic and training for strength training, also making sure that we are training for power. And a lot of times people think that strength and power are the same thing. They're not the same thing. Training for strength, so say that you're doing the most iconic thing to train for strength is doing like a bench press 1 rep max. That's your muscle's ability to move a weight from point A to point B. It doesn't take speed or acceleration into account. Power is the ability to move a weight quickly. So it takes acceleration. Yes, explosive. And that's what we want to maintain, because if you don't train for power, we'll talk about it later, if you don't train plyometrically, if you don't train to run like athletes should, even if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you can still train like an athlete. I'm not saying that we have to go strap up and, go through a full basketball game or football game, but you still should be an athlete and have the ability to do those things as long as you live. But if you stop doing them, that's where it really becomes a problem. And that's what all of our what we're talking about today is all about, is staying athletic over the course of your life. And power is one of those things that if you don't teach your muscles to contract quickly with power, you're going to lose that. Yeah, you might be able to bench press 300 pounds, but how fast can you move 150 pounds? How quickly can those muscles contract, and how much of those muscle fibers can you contract at once? So they're slightly different. A lot of times training for power, the best way to do it is to use submaximal loads. So we're talking about training for strength. You want to use near maximal loads, overload, get stronger. Training for power, you typically want to use closer to like 50% of your 1 rep max, maybe even lower. And your goal is not, can I move the weight from point A to point B, but the focus is, how quickly can I move that weight from point A to point B? So strength and power, they're two different things, but they're two very important things in the category of strength training that is going to help you reach your goal of staying athletic, staying explosive, and building muscle at the same time.
Yeah, if you are new to strength training, though, you never want to jump right into power movements, because these movements, we definitely want to make sure our form is correct and technique is correct, and make sure that we're moving that weight correctly before jumping into anything super heavy and being explosive with it. You want to make sure you have nice, good, correct form, because this is how we can create injury too. So just want to throw that out there.
Yes. Yeah. You should never do something that's like brand new and it's like, I'm going to lift as much weight as I possibly can, and I've never done this exercise before. Like, that's a really good way to snap your shit up. Then you can't come to the gym and you can't make progress. The last thing with strength training that we want to talk about is hypertrophy. So looking at, if we want to improve body composition, we want to look good, and we want to be functional and athletic. Also within the category of strength training, hypertrophy and actually building muscle is also important. We want to be proud of our physique. I'm not saying that you should solely define your happiness by your physique and how you look in a mirror, but you want to be proud and confident in yourself and what you've built over time. And I think your physique says a lot about your character and the things that you value and the hard work, because it's something that you can't necessarily pay for. You can't just go pay and build muscle, and there's no easy road to it. But you can talk about hypertrophy, the best rep ranges, all that kind of stuff, sets, exercises. Where should hypertrophy work be within the workout?
Yeah, so we want to strength train move heavy weights at the beginning of the workout, and then typically finish the workout with more of that hypertrophy training, that being 3 to 4 sets of each exercise, and then around that 8 to 12, sometimes even that 15 rep range. We can add supersets to these movements. We can do them by themselves, depending on how advanced you are, depending on your time crunch and how quickly you're trying to get through a workout. But the main focus is putting that tension on those muscles and developing that strength and that constant overload.
Yeah, the end of the workout is where the hypertrophy work should be. So if you go into the gym and you instantly go do some curls, that's not how you train to be an athlete. Like, that's fine. I mean, athletes can still benefit from building muscle, and not even talk about like athletes. If you're somebody that is not currently playing a sport for competition, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like you're not playing sports right now, but you want to have that athletic type explosive power, you can still train like this, and you can still do curls, and you can still do isolation movements and work at building your body. But save that for the end of the workouts when we've already done our strength training. And we've also focused on some plyometric stuff. We can talk about that later, to where you can rack up a lot of volume with movements like bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, chest flies, leg extensions, leg curls, those types of isolation movements where you can rack up a lot of volume,
Really
which is
overload
also,
those muscles.
really overload a specific muscle, which is also very important for muscle growth. So don't think that that's not important. It is a key piece, because we want to have the overload from the strength training. We want to work on power, and then we also want to work on creating lots of volume, so sets and reps through isolation movements. Those are 3 key things in any program that you need to have and need to have the correct balance of. So
Yeah.
hypertrophy work towards the end of the workout, more of your strength-based big compound movements towards the beginning of the workout.
And those smaller muscle groups, like you mentioned, you're not jumping into the gym and grabbing those dumbbells and doing bicep curls right away. You're going to save those smaller muscles towards the end of the workout when everything else is kind of fatigued.
So that wraps up everything in the strength training realm. Let's move into conditioning and cardio and plyometrics next. How do you incorporate that into your program while still trying to build muscle? Because I think a lot of times people think that you can't do cardio and build muscle. Those two things do not coexist. We are firm believers that you can. Again, you just have to create some structure.
So with that being said, you want to make sure that you're either implementing the cardio at the beginning or end of your workout, depending on your goal. So if your goal is to focus on training for a race or something of that nature, you want to make sure you input most of your energy in the cardio, which you would want at the beginning of the workout. And if you're somebody who is focused on strength training and getting that blend of cardio, then the cardio is best to save for at the end of the workout or on a totally separate day. If you're somebody who has the time, you can totally separate those things, and that would be ideal, but not everybody has that time in their lives. So we just typically save the cardio for the end of the workout, and then we'll have a day where we just do cardio, no strength training, and really, try to focus on getting in an intense cardio session.
Yeah, with cardio and the aspect of staying athletic, you want to have a mixture of some high intensity and some low intensity. And I think that with high intensity, especially if you're training to stay athletic, I think you have to have some sort of running in your program. If you can't run, if that's a little bit too much high impact on the joints, you can opt for a bike or a sled or a rower or a skier. But again, I think if you stop running fast, if you stop training like an athlete, you lose the ability to do so over time. So
those fast twitch
Yeah,
muscle
I
fibers
think it-
need to be.
yeah, I think it's so important to still do that, because I mean, we're not going to be doing sprints when we're 100 years old, most likely, most of us.
In
The risk,
wheelchairs.
the risk to reward ratio really, gets off a little bit. But we want to have a high quality life. We want to have good health span. And I think that the old saying of if you don't use it, you lose it is so true when it comes to fitness and when it comes to training to be an athlete. So I think one day of the week, you should be working on some higher intensity intervals. If you can run, I would recommend that you run, and run fast, run at faster speeds.
Not every time.
Not every time. Yeah. We're having a blend. We want some high intensity. I'm talking about the high intensity right now. We'll talk about the low intensity in a second, but your anaerobic training, you should be doing interval repeats. Maybe you're doing 100-meter sprints, 200-meter sprints, maybe even like some 400-meter mid-distance stuff, doing some Tabata type workouts, doing some repeats. Like those style of workouts are going to keep you athletic, and it's going to help you maintain the ability to run fast. Again, running fast is something that if you stop doing it, you're going to lose the ability to do so. Low intensity, you want to have low intensity aerobic cardio in your program as well. It's going to help you improve your body composition. It's going to help you teach your body how to burn fat as an energy source. It's also very good to improve the overall strength of your heart. So doing some aerobic stuff, what we like to do is we do a lot of either mid-distance running, nothing crazy long. We've trained for a couple half marathons where we do like to run, but also doing some longer EMOMs or longer AMRAPs where maybe you're doing a wall ball, you're doing a box jump, and you're doing a rower. You're doing athletic type movements that you can go through in a circuit style. You can pull the pace back a little bit and flow through that circuit, and it allows you to keep your heart rate down and train your different energy systems without it always being high intensity or always being low intensity.
Yeah, it does not have to be running. You can spice it up. And the nice thing about it too is you can just zone out, set a timer, and just get through those motions and get your heart rate up, start feeling good, get some endorphins flowing. And with strength training, that's something you really have to have that mind to muscle connection, and you really got to focus on each muscle contraction and engaging, each muscle. Whereas like cardio, what I like is you can just totally zone out and just put your head down and get through it, shut everything else off in the world. And when you're done, you just feel amazing. Your endorphins are flowing, like I said. So it's just a fun way to spice up your training too. Sometimes if you just come to the gym and you're doing the same thing every day, it just gets boring. I mean, we all are creatures of habits, so it's likely that you are going to want to do something that's kind of similar, like go to the gym the same time. You have the similar warm-ups, same dynamic warm-up, things like that. But having different days to look forward to, at least for me, makes it so much more exciting and fun. So, like one day's lower body, while sometimes that can be like, oh my God, I don't feel like doing legs today. It can be a challenge, but then you're like, okay, I got to get through this day because then the next day I have upper body, and whatever you like better, you get to look forward to that day. And then you go into the next day and you're like, okay, today I get to do cardio. So it's just more enjoyable training that way. And like I said, you just get to shut your brain off on those specifically cardio days and zone out.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, looking for something different. I think, who this really style of training is for anybody. Anybody can train in the style. And I think that where we came up with this is we both have athletic backgrounds. And I think when you finish sports, at least competitive sports, it's like, you're like, okay, what's next? And a lot of times people will get into the gym, or sometimes people just completely quit working out in general because they don't find that why. But training in the style where you're trying to build athletic muscle and trying to build strength, build muscle, but also maintaining athleticism is for anybody that has that sports background or has that competitive background or just wants to feel confident in themselves and is tired of the same old 3x10 bodybuilding split or running through machines that they're doing. I mean, not that machines are bad. We still use machines in our training and there's a purpose for them. But I think this style of training is for those people that are looking for something new. They're looking for a way to not only look like they work out, but also have the ability to function like they work out, have good mobility, which we'll talk about in a little bit, have good plyometric strength. They have the ability to beat their kids in a sprint. Like we have 3 boys. I will be damned on the day that they beat me in a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to earn it. And same thing with Alyssa. Like they're going to earn beating us in certain things, in strength training, in a push-up contest, in a 100-meter sprint. And I think having the ability to do that is super important. So if that sounds like you and you're like, I would love to learn more about how to build muscle but still stay athletic, like I said, go fill out that form down in the comment section and let's set up time to chat and learn more about your goals, and let's create some structure for you. It's really a fun way to train, and it gives you something different that's not always 3 sets of 10 or the same beat the crap out of you crazy Metcon workout that you're doing. Not to say that that's wrong. Not to say that, don't want to try and piss CrossFit people off, but I'm just saying, if you're looking for something new, you want to feel good about how you move, you want to feel strong, you want to feel athletic, this style of training is really for you.
Yeah, looking for something different that is totally something that anyone can do. There's so many different ways to modify each movement. So if you're like, I don't know, that sounds intimidating. I don't know if I can train that way. There's tons of ways that we can help you modify movements too. These are things that if you have kids in sports, you can let them join with you because this would be really beneficial for them as well. And like Jordan said, we both were athletes. That's how we fell in love with fitness. But it's also a way, if you're an athlete, you understand what it's like to be competitive. Like we talked about, being competitive, racing the kids and things like that. But this is a way to really dig into that competitiveness and really focus on getting better at each movement. And you're not competing with anyone else, but you're just competing with yourself each day at getting better and stronger in whatever movement that is. And it's just a fun way, like I said, to spice up your workouts.
Yeah, beats the mundane. Like I said, 3 sets of 10. The next thing we talk about cardio. We also use this in cardio too as well, and conditioning. We'll kind of wrap it in, but also just having the ability to jump. So plyometrics is an important piece of staying athletic. And again, just like sprinting, if you stop jumping, you lose the ability to jump. So you always want to have that ability. I'm not saying that you have to hit a 60-inch box jump or something crazy like that, but having the ability to have your muscles work plyometrically. This also kind of goes hand in hand with having power and developing power, but jumping is such an important piece of a program. There's lots of different ways to structure it. There's 100 different jumping plyometric type exercises that you can do, but the main thing is have some jumping in your program. Yes. We'll always incorporate, whether that is a broad jump or it's a depth jump into a broad jump, or it's a box jump, it's a squat jump, it's a single leg box jump. There's 100 different exercises that you can do, but the main thing is just continue to jump. It's going to keep you athletic, because if you used to play sports and then, you quit sports at 18 years old, now 20 years, fast forward, you're 38, and you're like, I'm going to get back into the gym and I'm going to go do what I did when I was 18. You go do some box jumps or some broad jumps or something athletic like that, you're going to snap your shit up. So you have to gradually get into this. Again, there needs to be some structure with this. I'm not saying like go attempt your max box jump today, but just jump in general to maintain the ability to do so.
Yeah, start with some pogo jumps.
Yeah.
Just little jumps in place, nothing crazy, side to side. Get your body moving. Even a jump rope is something that you can incorporate. It's also going to help with calf strength, ankle strength, and mobility and flexion, which we can kind of go into that last piece to the puzzle too of mobility, which is important in every aspect of training, but also with being an athlete. If you don't have mobility, your body's not going to be able to move in the directions that it needs to move. So that is a piece that is super important that we never want to skimp on, before jumping into any of these exercises, any of these types of movements. We want to make sure that we are getting in mobility before the workout and at the end of the workout, especially, like I said, as an athlete, you're going to be like jumping in different ways and turning your body in different ways that if you don't create flexibility in your body, you're going to create injury.
Yeah. I think it's so important. We look at mobility in 2 different ways. So before the workout, we always have our clients and even personally run through a full dynamic warm-up. This helps increase mobility over time, but also helps temporarily increase your mobility before the workout. It helps your muscles be a little more pliable and, like Alyssa mentioned, moved in different ways. If you're doing heavy squats and you're doing box jumps and you're doing bench press and you're sprinting on a treadmill, your body needs to move in every single different direction. So a full body warm up before every single workout is super important. That's a whole topic that we can cover on another time.
Yeah.
We'll cover the whole podcast and separate video on that coming up soon. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on that. But also at the end of your workout, doing more static stretching. It doesn't have to be, I think a lot of times people think it has to be like 12 different stretches that you have to do at the end of your workout. I would say just pick like 1 or 2 at the end of your workout. And if you could do 1 or 2 different stretches every single workout that are more static, that you're holding for 90 seconds to 2 minutes, you're going to see huge improvements in mobility. And you're also going to tenfold decrease the risk of injury. So
yeah, in recovery.
Yeah. More dynamic stretches at the beginning of the workouts, more static stuff towards the end of the workouts.
Yep.
do it consistently, you're going to see huge improvements in your mobility and your ability to just to move and have functional strength and be able to do all the things that you want to do. If you stop moving, if you don't warm up, if you don't stretch at the end of your workout, you're going to lose mobility, you're going to get injured, and you're not going to be able to train in the style. So it's a very important piece that we highly believe in.
Yeah, along with that mobility, we want to make sure that we're recovering properly, things like that as well, which is a whole nother subject for another podcast. But I hope all these tips and tricks were helpful to getting into athletic training if you aren't already, or if you're looking to put on strength while training like an athlete.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, we'd love to help out any way that we can. There's so many different avenues that this can go, and everybody has different goals. And I'm not saying that the way that I train is the best way, but what I'm saying is if you are looking to build muscle, build strength, build plyometric power, be able to sprint and jump, and also be proud of your body and build muscle, there's a path towards doing that. You can achieve those things in one program. There has to be some structure. And, you might go through different phases in your life where you want to work on different things. And I've found that with my fitness, there's different phases where when I was 18 years old, I had very different goals than when I'm 28 years old now. So that's normal. That's all part of life. But if you guys would like more information on how you can train in the style, or if you're just looking for more guidance with nutrition, your workouts, your structure, your accountability, that's something that we can help you with. Just click on the link in the comments and description below, fill out that form, and let's set up time to chat and get you the structure that you need to get to where you want to be.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you in the next podcast.